What is going on, fellas?
Yeah. So we're going to talk Spurs simps. We're going to talk about the Spurs trade. You know, not every single player that's traded deserves a tribute video. You know,
Joe, you're okay. You were frozen there for a second. Yeah, it's funny because there's so many people who are complaining about what the Spurs are doing, and it's not being a big, bold move. But you know what? You can't argue with the fact that this team is different than what it was 12 months ago.
Dare we say, does this look like a winning team, Mike?
They are getting better by the day.
Getting
Now,
stronger.
They're not a top tier team. They're not Oklahoma City. They're not Houston, right? But when you ask that question, are they the 9th best team or the 8th best team? They've gone from being the 10th best team, 11, 12, to 10 to 9 to 8 with every single move that they're doing.
Yeah, I agree. I think I think I have them in 7 right now, just because I don't trust the Mavericks with all the injuries. We'll see.
I mean, injuries play a role into it all. But you can't deny this, man. The Spurs suddenly look deep.
Yep.
They're getting stronger, Mike. They're getting stronger, like the Rocky song goes.
And here's the thing. It's like I want to give hate to Brian Wright, but I love all the moves he's made the last 14 months. Like he's batting 1,000 with me the last 14 months.
Isn't it true that he can't draft outside of the obvious ones, but he has done a good job of at least making some moves with the vets. I will give him that,
And he hasn't been fleeced yet. So it's kind of like we're still criticizing him for what he did in the past. But, also to quote Janet Jackson, what have you done for me lately? Last 14 months? Not bad. Ooh,
hey, you know what, Wes? Wemby came back to San Antonio. He was spotted in San Antonio the other day. He's working out now.
Where's he been? He's been on a world tour, right?
Area 210 podcast with Mike Jimenez and Joe Garcia. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Join the discussion as we broadcast to you live from beautiful West San Antonio. And remember to tip your hosts as it helps the show grow.
What's up, San Antonio? What's going on, South Texas? This is the Area 210 podcast. My name is Mike Jimenez. That's Joe Garcia. And that smile that you see in the middle of the screen there is Wesley Perkins. You might remember him from Spurs React. We're going to be reacting a lot about the Spurs trade from yesterday. Brian Wright making moves. Sometimes we have shows where there's not a lot going on, but today there is a whole heck of a lot going on today, both in sports, pop culture, and nostalgia. Again, my name is Mike Jimenez. Joe Garcia producing today's show. Lots of things that we're going to get into. The Spurs pulled off a trade yesterday. 2 of the first-round draft picks from 2022 are what, Joe? What's their name?
Gone.
They're gone. Blake Wesley, Malachi brought him out. Welcome to the Spurs, Kelly Olynyk. Is that a good move or a bad move for the Spurs? 2022, was that a bust year when it came to the NBA draft for the Spurs? We're going to get into that. The stamp on this team. This roster's different, man. Whether you like the moves or hate the moves, we have to agree that the roster is different. And now we have to ask ourselves the question, hey, isn't this team kind of deep now? Yeah. Are we now one of the deeper teams in the NBA? Maybe not star name, star quality, but deepness. We saw Indiana make a run through the playoffs this year. Is it possible that we get through and we win games because of how deep of a team that we have?
Yeah.
We're going to get into Chet Holmgren. He signed an extension today. Lots going on. We're talking about things that are not sports related. Reports about Texas beaches being cochino, being dirty. Okay.
Caca water.
Caca water. We'll tell you which beach is by far the dirtiest beach according to fecal matter. Based on fecal matter in the water, 25% of the days last year, it was too dangerous to swim. And here's a hint. It's actually one of the richest places to be on the Texas coast. So you wouldn't think that, right?
Yeah.
It's been the summer of Tyler. Joe, I hope you get those videos that I sent you. Tyler went viral a few weeks ago on TikTok, more than 2 million views, and now he got to meet his musical hero. We'll get into that as well. That's one of my favorite stories of the summer. I've been following it the entire time. Let's get into today's show. We're also going to talk about, we'll probably talk about it right now. You see that our chat is powered by P.F. Chang's. They're our new sponsor, right? This is the P.F. Chang's La Cantera, right? So the one at the mall at La Cantera by the Spurs facility at the Rock, right? We're going to have a fundraiser for the flood victims at La Cantera. It's going to be in the next few weeks or so. We're ironing out the details, but we did get the permission to do so. And basically, what it's going to be a way to be charitable while dining over there. Basically, proceeds, kind of like whenever you go and you see Chick-fil-A do a thing where they say a percent of today's proceeds will go to X, Y, and Z. Well, for those who eat on a particular day over there, a percentage of the bill will go to the flood victims as long as you say that you were brought over by the Area 210 podcast. And I will be there that night that it happens. Again, PF Chang's is our new sponsor. More details to come.
Yeah, I think what we're going to do too, Mike, is that we should have I don't know, either raffle or a silent auction where we have, some items here that we can give away, some autographed memorabilia. And if we go ahead and maybe raffle these off and just say, hey, man, give a couple bucks or what have you, we'll put your name in the hat or put the number in the hat and then just call a winner, and all those proceeds will go towards the flood victims,
Exactly. And it's a lot of good causes out there. I know the Salvation Army of Kirk County is taking donations. I received a donation receipt today from the Community Foundation of the Texas Hill Country, which I donated to. So I donated to, and there you go. I get to write it off. That's the good thing about donations is that you get to write them off. We'll have more about this, but again, thank you to PF Chang's for not only sponsoring the show, but seeing the vision and running with it when it comes to wanting to help people. I don't care if we raise $500, $300, $1,000. It all goes to a good cause. And it's something that, man, when it's all said and done, they have over 100 people who have died in the floods. Reports are it's probably going to be north of 250 when it's all said and done, which is absolutely ridiculous because of the number of missing people that are still unaccounted for. People who were just driving through the area and literally got swept away that people didn't realize, oh my God, my loved one got swept away. People have to rebuild the properties over there. And I don't care if anyone's left wing or right wing. We all have to be human beings in the situation, not make things political when it comes to all of this. Just help people out. I was talking to Chica, my girlfriend, yesterday about it. And she asked the question, when did everybody become just dicks? When did everyone just simply become jerks when it comes to life? She says, Michael, I just want to be with you in the middle of the woods somewhere, just get away from people because people have just become jerks when it comes to things like this. Just donate what you can if you can. I mean, if you can't, that's understood. But if you can, do something, right? Do something. My name is Mike Jimenez, Wesley Perkins in the middle, Joe Garcia producing today's show. Let's talk about the Spurs. And we have that super chat coming in from the Drew Show. We'll get into that. We'll get that into it in a minute. Let's go ahead and introduce the topic.
Yeah.
The news last night that the Spurs got rid of Malachi Branham and Blake Wesley. Two of the first rounders that they picked in the year 2022. That was the year where the Spurs had 3 first rounders. Blake Wesley, Malachi Branham, gone. Jeremy Sochan in a contract year becomes a restricted free agent at the end of this season. 12 months from now could be gone as well. The thing about it is that I have this love-hate relationship with Brian Wright. I want to get Wesley's take on this. My love-hate relationship is everything that he did was basura, was trash from 2017 to 2023, 2024. But somehow, some way, the last 14 months, he has done everything I wanted him to do. Let's count this down. Who did I want at the draft last year, Joe?
Castle.
And who did I talk about for months leading up to the draft? Not the week of the draft, reading a USA Today or an ESPN article or something from the Ringer. No, for months I was all about, dude, that guy from UConn, Stephon Castle, we need that guy.
That boy good.
Yes, exactly. Like coming to America. He won Rookie of the Year. So I was happy with that. This year, getting Dylan Harper, not saying that we're going to go get Ace Bailey, who's going to be good, or VJ Edgecombe, who's going to be good. He went out there and got the guy that was the best talent available at number 2, irrespective of the position, and he got Dylan Harper. Happy with that. Went off and got rid of Zach Collins' contract. He's gone. Got somebody for Malachi and Blake Wesley on an expiring deal, no less. Fleeced the Sacramento Kings for De'Aaron Fox. Gave him 10 cents on the dollar for that. Got something for Trey Jones. I have a love-hate relationship because I hated everything that he did leading up to last season. But to me, the only thing that I worry about is Carter Bryant. We'll talk about the summer game from yesterday. Wesley, here's the thing, man. Is it just me, or is Brian Wright finally righting the ship and getting things done right? Yes, he had a lot of mistakes leading up to the past year or so. But the last 14 months, does he bat 1,000 for you as well?
I think he's done a really good job. And I'll be honest with you, the fickleness that we see from fans about, the misses, there's the list of players we all can say that, well, we could have got these players, but we know that the Spurs wouldn't have gotten Wembanyama if that were the case. I do say this for him. He has definitely he's hit on the can't misses in the draft. I mean, to me, I just like what you're saying, Mike, I think Castle was by far the best player in that draft. And I don't know that there was really any discussions. Just watching a lot of college basketball, you know it as well. He was amazing at UConn, and that was a no-brainer. But also the one contract that you didn't mention, I want you to think about Harrison Barnes for a minute.
Yeah.
Harrison Barnes they got him for basically a second-round pick, and when they got Fox, they ended up having a second-round pick come back. They basically got Harrison Barnes for free. I mean, if you think about it that way, and think about how good of a commodity Harrison Barnes has turned out to be as a shooter for a team that doesn't have a lot of shooters. I'll say this: he's sticking to his guns. I do like Brian Wright in the way that he has manipulated the system, even as far back to going and seeing what he did and got for, like you said, DeMar, and for others for fleecing Atlanta when he did to get those picks. Now I realize that those Atlanta picks right now don't look so hot for the next few years, but still, you don't mess around with first round draft picks and pick swaps. Those are really good deals. I think that he's done a really good job with many things. There are some things that he's done that I feel like are mistakes. We can certainly look at Malachi and Blake Wesley and say those were 2 first-round picks. They both got wasted. At the same token, and nothing's for sure in the NBA, how many legitimate all-star players are there on every team? I don't want to go nostalgia on you guys, but go back to the 90s. The parity was very real. Teams had 2 and 3 stars on their teams. The role players were much larger. I don't know that the development in the NBA as a whole is a lot better than back in those days. So to me, right now, it's all about finding the best fit. He has a core nucleus of guys that he's constructed that all make sense. And to a point back in a few weeks ago in a show that you guys were doing, we don't know what this team is capable of just yet because De'Aaron Fox was hurt when he came in. We don't know what he's going to do just yet because Wemby was fatigued and already started to show signs of his problems with his thrombosis after the All-Star break. So I'll say this for Brian Wright. I think he has set them up for good things. He's filling out the roster the way it needs to be filled out right now with veterans. I think there's still some work to do. But listen, we know they've still got room to make moves if they want to. They've got money. They've got some picks that they definitely can use as commodities, or they can, use them for draft. I do think that there are some things still that he has to be criticized for, player development being one. But you can't argue. He's getting results with the players that he's pulling in.
Now, we need to ask the question, Wesley. Here's the thing. Are the Spurs better today than they were yesterday? And as I mentioned earlier, I think before the show started, we had 2 players that were not going to sniff the court in Malachi Branham and Blake Wesley. The second that Dylan Harper got signed, the second that Stephon Castle showed that he is a stud in the NBA, Rookie of the Year, Malachi Branham and Blake Wesley were just going to be gone at some point. They weren't going to sniff the court. You still have Devin Vassell on the team, for crying out loud. Kelly Olynyk will play. He's 6'11". The Spurs have had a thing for Kelly Olynyk for years.
Yeah, they have.
He's been rumored to be coming to the Spurs for the longest time. This guy's been around the block. Now, on draft night back in 2013, he was traded to the Boston Celtics, played 4 seasons with Boston, went over to the Miami Heat, played over there for a few seasons, played for the Houston Rockets, the Detroit Pistons, the Utah Jazz, Toronto Raptors, and most recently the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, what I like about him is that he's a career 37.1% three-point shooter.
Yeah.
He can spread the floor. Last year shot 38.9%. The year before that, 41.8%. The year before that, 42.9%. The year before that, 33.6%. The guy can knock down some threes. And what do we say? We need somebody who can spread the floor. We needed size. So who did the Spurs get? Spurs got 2 centers, right? They got 2 guys who have size. And it's you look at the Spurs roster, and it's starting to come into form. It's not sexy. It's not Giannis. It's not Kevin Durant. But what it is a bunch of role players who know their role. And I can't fault Brian Wright for that. I can fault Brian Wright for getting Josh Primo. I can fault him for Luka Samanic. I can fault him for Blake Wesley and Malachi Branham and not taking Jalen Williams, taking Jeremy Sochan instead. I can fault him for all that. But the last 14 months or so, the dude has got it going right. Hey, that's his name, right? It's been going in the right direction. And it feels more and more like this team is no longer a pop team. It feels like it's something different. I know they've been rumored to get Kelly Olynyk in the past, and Olynyk's not sexy, but look at what the Spurs have done. What have they situated themselves on? They now have 2 expiring contracts that are tasty at the end of the trade deadline this upcoming season. You've got Harrison Barnes at $19 million and Kelly Olynyk at $13 million. That is $32 million of cap space that either worst case scenario, the Spurs just get cap space. That is the worst case scenario. Best case scenario, we flip that for another team who needs salary filler in order to get maybe. I don't want to get Spurs fans excited because I know we have the Drew Show, who's a big supporter of the show.
We're going to get to your super chats.
But here's the thing. If you want to have Giannis as an opportunity to get, you need to have contracts like Kelly Olynyk's on the books.
Yeah.
Expiring deals. Now, I know Malachi Branham and Blake Wesley were expiring deals, but there's something to be said about 1 roster spot versus 2. And does this open the door for a young man named David Jones Garcia, who balled out last night in the Spurs Summer League game there in California? Spurs lost 89-88. Spurs were up 15 with 4 minutes to go. I jumped in the shower. I came out. They lost by 1, right? But either way, David Jones Garcia, back-to-back games where he had 25 points. Back-to-back games where he went 9 for 14 shooting. Last night, 3 of 5 from 3. The game before that, 4 of 7 for 3. He had 25 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists yesterday. The guy looked like the alpha on the court for both teams. David Jones Garcia, I wonder if he's playing so well that the Spurs looked at Blake Wesley and Malachi Branham and said, well, worst case scenario, we bring this guy back in. He's 6'6". He played 4 years of college. He played at DePaul. He played at Memphis. He played at St. John's. He played 4 years of college. He was an all-NBA first team in the G League last year, the all-first team G League last year. Maybe, just maybe, they had a replacement there.
Don't we think they need grown men, right? He's 23 years old. They need grown men. And, back to your question, are they better than they were a year ago at this time? Yes, 100%. Because if you look back, even prior to the trade that they made to get rid of Zach Collins, they were still only going 7-8 deep in their roster. And what was Wemby's frustration? He, outwardly he didn't have much, but inwardly he was saying he didn't want to play the 5. So now look at it, Mike and Joe. Here's Wemby that's freed up. You've got 2 more bigs. You've got a Sochan who's a hybrid. You've got a Barnes, if you wanted to go small, could play in some form or fashion a forward role, in a power forward role. But you have guys that frees up Wemby to play what he wants to play. And I know that Spurs fans don't want to see Wemby out there doing Kevin Durant things. That's what Wembanyama wants. He wants to have the freedom. And so now you have a deep enough roster, not only to have multiple guys come in to be able to find the right pieces and to find guys that are going to give you grit. And I think that's one of the things we have to say that's been missing. They haven't had a lot of grit. They haven't had that toughness because you need grown men. So yeah, is Jones one of those guys that comes in from the summer league because he shows that he's not afraid? And we know that he's got that kind of experience. I think that would be smart. And let's be honest, those last couple of roster spots are going to be filled by guys that are going to be on minimum contracts, right? I mean, it's not going to be guys that are going to come in on any kind of big deal. So,
well, hey, what we got to do, Mike? We got to address these super chats because we've had quite a bit of them.
Oh yeah, give me one quick second on that here, and as we get into it, because it's going to dovetail into what is being said by the Drew Show. So I'm going to go ahead and segue into that. You look at this team last year that had 34 wins, right? You need about 44 wins to get into the play-in tournament. You need about 48 wins to get into the playoffs. And who did they subtract from last year? They subtracted Trey Jones and a 39-year-old Chris Paul. And in replacement of that, they have Dylan Harper, right? Upgrade. Spurs going out there and getting Harrison Barnes and keeping Harrison Barnes out there for another year. Sochan hopefully getting better. Wemby, Carter Bryant, Champagnie. And now instead of a Bismack Biyombo down low, you have Kelly Olynyk and Luke Cornett. Luke Cornett, who, when it comes to money ball type of things, where analytically is one of the better defenders out there in the league, doesn't shoot the three, but who does? Kelly Olynyk does. Bryant, called a lockdown guy, defensively, a 3-and-D guy. Last night went 2 for 8, 2 for 7 from 3. We'll get into Carter Bryant in a moment, but the fact of the matter is that you look at this roster is deeper, this roster is better. De'Aaron Fox had a broken finger, for crying out loud, the entire year last year when he was with the Spurs. He didn't play with Wemby all but like 2 or 3 games. Wemby missed 40% of the season. The Spurs still won 34 games, a 12-game improvement. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, it's not sexy, but they're getting better. They are now a team that you look at roster-wise and you think to yourself, Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, Devin Vassell. It's not a bad backcourt. Barnes, Sochan, Wemby, Bryant, Champagnie. Not bad at that 3-4 spot. Olynyk, Cornett. Guess what we got, guys? We got a team.
No.
We have a team. We asked Harrison, we asked Brian Wright, go get some shooters. He got Olynyk, who can shoot the ball for decently. Probably need another shooter out there, another sharpshooter out there. We asked to get some size because we had no size down low, right? We were 2. They got Cornett, who's 7'2". They got Olynyk, who's 6'11". We asked for them to get something for Wesley and Branham. They did. They didn't mortgage the future for it. And that Cornett deal is better than what we thought because it's really only 2.5 years guaranteed, or 2 1/3. So I'm liking what's going on right now, and it's still setting them up for them to get a big free agent or a big trade possibility because they have the contracts to do so. This team is better than last year. This team it should be a 500 team or better, even in a stacked Western Conference because of how deep we are. Let's get to the super chats. I know we have several coming in from the Drew Show. Joe,
Yep.
Joe, go ahead and introduce them.
Yep. So we got this first one coming in from the Drew Show here, and he was saying, laugh out loud. He goes, F them picks resulted in Kelly Olynyk, ? He says, laugh out loud. He goes, Spurs player development. He goes, Kelly Olynyk. Hey, he has green hair, y'all. Brian Wright needs to be fired. So he's not a fan of the Kelly Olynyk acquisition. So we're also going to go ahead and show the other $5 super chatting coming from the Drew Show here. And he was saying, hey, Brian Wright, I hear Delonte West is available. He goes, hand his freestyle. KFC is awesome. He goes, also donate what you can. He says, unless it's the Spurs and you have 24 hours. He's referencing you, Mike, because you're like, you know what? The Spurs need to go ahead and say they have in 24 hours what they've donated or what they're going to donate. And we have
I said it because the Dallas Cowboys and Houston Texans had made their announcement more than 24 hours before the Spurs did.
Yeah.
Slightly embarrassing. Okay. This happened in your own backyard. Take the wheel. HEB is the one who's taking the wheel. And thank God for HEB. HEB is amazing.
Yeah. We also have another $2 chat coming in, a super chat from Drew Show. Thank you for the support, Drew. Appreciate you. And he's like, Olynyk is a poor man's Hartenstein. He goes, terrible trade. So he's not a fan of the acquisition again of Kelly Olynyk.
Well, I'm going to push back on that. I do appreciate the support with the super chats there, and that goes to keeping the show going. We don't pocket this. This does not pay our CPS bill or a SAWS bill. This goes directly into the podcast for the equipment and technology and stuff like that. So thank you so much for that, Drew. You have to ask yourself the question: are the Spurs better today than they were 24 hours ago? And the answer is yes. Mm-hmm. You may not like Kelly Olynyk. And the idea that the Spurs are going to go off and get Giannis, we need to understand that that's a 5% chance at best, and it's always been a 5% chance at best. The odds of the Spurs landing a top 5 player in the NBA via a trade or even through free agency is fantasy land. It is. So for the people out there who are like, F them picks, I mean, I get it. You can trade those picks for a top 25, top 30 player. But the odds of getting those picks to manifest themselves into a Giannis is very, very, very low. Look at what the Houston Rockets had to give up for an aging Kevin Durant.
Yeah, they
Look
give away
at
the
that
future.
and then think about what the Spurs would then have to give up for a Giannis Antetokounmpo who's in his prime. The Spurs could have packaged 7 first-round draft picks, Vassell, Keldon, Sochan, and Castle, and still wouldn't have gotten Giannis.
Right.
Still. The only way that we get Giannis is how we got De'Aaron Fox.
Yep.
If De'Aaron Fox said, I want to come to the Spurs, I want to go to the Spurs, and he forces the hand of the team that has him, that's how we were able to fleece. Brian Wright didn't fleece the Sacramento Kings. De'Aaron Fox and his camp fleeced the Sacramento Kings because they outright said they wanted to go to the Spurs. He made it known, and they had to make it happen. If Giannis says he wants to go play with Wemby, and that's his ideal destination and all of that stuff, that's going to open the door for the Spurs to go get him. But the idea that the Spurs are simply going to trade 6 or 7 picks and trade 3 or 4 players who are role players in order to get him, it's fantasy land.
Yeah, let me interject this, guys, because I think this is one of those things that people don't understand as much. You have to compare the Spurs to the Spurs. If you want to look at what it looks like to take a guy who you feel is an all-star caliber player and fit him with a bunch of young guys who are starting to learn the game, go back and look at the Spurs with DeMar DeRozan. That when in the fourth quarter, Joe, you remember those podcasts we would do at the end of games, DeMar DeRozan would be out there, dribbling the ball in the middle of the paint, and everybody else is standing and watching. You don't develop your young core by bringing in somebody who, Giannis is a proven commodity. You could find some guys out there, but you have to find the right fit. And can we all say that with certainty, without all the shooters to spread the floor and help Giannis, if he were to be the guy, for instance, to come to San Antonio, that wouldn't work with what the Spurs currently have. Not only that, but I get fed up with this idea that it's super team or bust. The super team idea has never worked out. It only works out when you have an established veteran superstar who's already been a champion. Don't believe me? Look at Miami. What did they have? They had Dwayne Wade. Look at what happened in Cleveland. They already had Kyrie. They already had players that were there. You don't just go and say, well, let's pick up all these all-stars and we're just going to be a glorified all-star team. You have to choose the path. Brian Wright chose the path that it's going to be our core. It's pretty obvious, isn't it, that they're not going to give up any of those young core pieces right now to go and try to find a glory, championship by trying to get somebody else and give up too much. They are not going to do that. So I'm not saying everything that they do is perfect, but if we think that the idea that, hey, let's have a shiny object, let's get really distracted and come over here and look at this and give away all these pieces to go get something that, would distract from and detract from Wemby maybe getting to be the player that he could be, because we still don't know what he's going to be. Fox is in a prime. We haven't seen him in his prime. He averaged 27 points a game in his career. He averaged 19 here. He wasn't right. He was hurt. So I think we have to put a clamp on some of this talk about what they don't do by saying, give these guys a chance to gel together first. We need to see what this team can be with pieces around that support Wembanyama and the current guys in the core, Stephen Castle, who obviously proved by himself to be able to hold on to that team and win games. So listen, I'm all for trying to improve the team, and if it's Giannis is the right fit, then great. But at this point and where we are, the right fit is the core guys that you have and putting pieces around him that work.
Look at this comment coming in right now from Midtown Texas. It says Brian Wright gave up on his projects, and that's a testament to the trades that happened here. But I wanted to go ahead and address some of these other super chats that we had in here as well, because we're getting stacked up on them, and I got to get to them.
No
we had some from the Drew Show here. He was saying, Tornero Lags, he goes, so just a guy. Okay, mute Wesley. So he was talking about your comment earlier, and Drew Show had another $2 incoming super chat, and he's like, from the Drew Show, who is this guy and why do I care? And I think he's talking about Wesley. And I'm like, Wesley is my brother from another mother. So we used to do Spurs React back in the day with the great Chris Duell. So we were regulars on the show, and we'd talk Spurs after the game. And, we would kind of hang out in the studio there with Chris. But we got another $5 super chat incoming here from Drew Show. And he's saying, Necio gonna Necios. He goes, gonna Necios, take out the chingazos, I guess, old dirty grito for Wesley. So he wants to go ahead and give welcome Wesley into the show by giving you the grito. So this
the OG
is the one
or the new one?
I don't know. It's like, Wesley, should we bring you in with the new grito or the OG grito?
Yeah, I'm kind of OG. I'm 48, man. So you got to do the OG grito.
All right, we'll do the one with the market square in the background.
Presumir a mis amigos les conté que en el amor.
And that right
went
there,
straight to the soul, man. That went straight to the soul, Joe.
That one got Mike a little upset because that's too ethnic for him.
Hey, true story, dude. True story. Do you know that I've won 2 grito contests? Do you know this?
No, for real?
Oh, we gotta prove it. You gotta prove it, baby.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Oh God! Here we
Can
go.
your microphones handle this? Here we go.
I
Ready?
don't know, man. I'm gonna take off my headphones. Give it to us.
Here we go.
Wow. You know what? I'll give him an A for effort, man, because you know what? I was on Chris Leja for the longest time telling him to do a grito, and he never did. But Wesley did when he was even coerced into doing it.
He just brought it out,
He
man.
just brought it out of him. Yeah, you got a little Mexican in you there, Perkins. So we got another super chat coming in here, and this one's from the Drew Show. So he says, I'm rich, you're poor, dead. He goes, laugh out loud or stop reading. He's talking about his super chats. And Jason Garcia from Portland, Oregon, over there watching. Thank you, Jason. He says, just want to pile on the super chat. So he's just
pile it
silly.
on.
And we got another super chat. This one's coming from Midtown, Texas. He says, can anyone see this? And it's like, yes, we can see you. And we have some other guys that have sent some stuff for the media share. We're going to get to that too. But the super chats have been coming in fast and furious. So Sam Salinas, thank you for your support as well. And thank you, everybody, for the super chats. We greatly appreciate y'all's support. And he says, trying to be positive, Mike. And he says, go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead. You read it.
Oh, it says, could it be that Brian Wright is now being a GM rather than taking orders from the front office? Is he actually helping to make this Mitch team? I want Joe to answer this one here, Joe. Because, Joe, you and I have talked about the fact that is Mitch Johnson going to be a puppet for what Pop used to be, right? Because for a while there last year, it seemed like Mitch Johnson was doing his own thing and freelancing, and then suddenly he looked like he was a Pop clone all over again, like someone gave him a talking to, right? But now with Pop no longer on the bench, no longer going on the road, all of that stuff, still in the front office for what he can do, right? We saw him recently struggling to walk and whatnot. He's still on the payroll. Joe, does this team feel different? Does it feel like it's no longer Pop's team to you?
I think it's moving away from the current irradiation of what Coach Pop had constructed. You know, they're kind of slowly bringing those walls down and being like, you know what? We're going to go ahead and instead of just painting the facade, we're low key rebuilding a new team. You know, and that's not a bad thing because this is Mitch's team moving forward. He is going to be the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. And along with the new staff, you need to have a new roster because Mitch knew the team is currently constructed. And so did Brian Wright. So did the front office. They knew as long as Coach Pop was here, he likes the guys that we have. Now with Mitch here, he knows that in order to be competitive, you got to get away from some of the spares. And the thing is, Spurs fans become enamored with some of these role players. And here's the thing, and this is why I was saying the Spurs simps go hard on the X. They go hard on social media. Just because you get enamored with the player, a role player, doesn't mean every single player that leaves deserves a tribute video. The tribute videos should be reserved for players that had an impact or their game was impactful here while they were, let's say, playing with the San Antonio Spurs. Like the Deuce, for example. Everybody hated him because of what he did, but they had a tribute video for him. And why? He helped us win a chip. He was deserving of that, even though we might have felt a certain way. Then we had DeMar DeRozan, right? Even if you loved him or hate him, he had an impact, and he was here with the team for a short stint. He deserved a tribute video. Tim Duncan leaving deserved one. Coach Poppin at this point in time, him retiring, leaving and not being the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs anymore. He deserves a tribute video. Give him his roses. First game of the season. Absolutely. But for the Spurs, no, man, they don't deserve tribute videos. Mike, what are we doing? What world are we living in now where every single person that leaves needs a tribute video? It's like nowadays, right? You get a participation trophy or a ribbon for participating. No.
There should be an impact, like you said, or there should be tenure, right? If you wanted to give one to Patty Mills, great. If you want to give one to Mitch to Matt Bonner, rather, fine. Yeah, but I think it's getting out of control when it comes to it all. Someone mentioned earlier that Brian Wright's getting rid of his projects. So one of the projects was on the court yesterday. His name is Carter Bryant. Spurs took him with the last pick in the lottery at number 14.
Yeah, number 14.
And last night, he played his second game of the Summer League. 2 for 8. He was 2 for 7 from 3. End of the first quarter, he locked somebody down hardcore on defense. Lakers had a player on the corner, and he was trying to get off a 3-point shot, and Carter Bryant swarmed him to the point that no shot was even taken, right? Just a straight up turnover. So you saw that play, and I thought to myself, okay, now I see what they're getting at with he can lock down players from time to time, and defense can bring it.
Defense turned into offense.
Right. Offensively, the positive that I see of him offensively is that he's not afraid to shoot. The downside is that they're not going in. He was 2 for 7 from 3 last night. He had a bad shooting performance the first game that he had done last week as well.
But he's just
he looks uncomfortable. Let's be honest.
Well, I mean, there's no rapport of anybody on that team. These are all strangers coming together playing, right? But
games, dude.
You see David Jones Garcia, 4 years of college, 1 year of the G League. He is on the court, like Nuke LaLoosh on in talking to Crash Davis. I want to announce my presence with authority, Bull Durham style. He walks the court knowing that he's better than everybody else.
Yeah.
Carter Bryant looks like a project, dude. He looks like somebody who is going to be needing the G League more than anything else. And a lot of Spurs fans are going to be upset about that, but I'd rather have Carter Bryant play 30 minutes a game in the G League and get some reps than be on the bench getting nothing done.
Look, we got an incoming chat here from Sam Salinas I want to show because it's kind of relevant to what we're talking about. Thank you, Sam. He says, trying to be positive. Could it be that Brian Wright is now being a GM rather than taking orders from the front office? Mm-hmm. Is he actually helping to make this Mitch's team better?
I let's just go back into that comment again. Pop's fingerprints do not appear to be on anything the Spurs are doing right now.
Yeah.
I kind of think that Pop wouldn't have wanted Dylan Harper.
No.
Pop might have wanted
Ace Bailey. Yep.
And for the Spurs to go, no, we're going to get the best player on the board is a big deal. I see it different. I almost, maybe the shackles are off. Maybe Mitch Johnson and Brian Wright are able to do what they want to do because they don't fear Pop anymore. Maybe that's it. And I know Spurs fans wanted Kevin Durant, and we had a comment earlier saying, well, trying to contradict what I was saying when I said that a player needs to say who he wants to go to in order to be traded to him.
Yeah.
And he said, well, didn't Durant say that San Antonio was his primary destination? No, he didn't. He said he had 3 cities that he wanted to go to: San Antonio, Houston, or Miami. Did he go to one of those teams? He did.
Yeah,
he went to Houston. He named the 3 cities he wanted to go to, and he went to one of them. Right? So that's just how it works these days. And I the Spurs are better now than what they were 12 months ago. They're a lot better than what they were 12 months ago. It's going to take a while for it to all gel. But you know what I do like about what happened, what's going on right now, is that this whole nonsense about the Spurs core. I want the Spurs to look at what happened yesterday. And by the way, what pissed me off yesterday was Sochan tweeting a crying emoji because Wesley and Bronner were gone. You know what? I want someone to look at that and think to himself, shit, that might be me next. Dollar,
Yes.
I'm allowed to curse one time a game, one time a show, okay? I want someone to look around and go, am I next? I want Vassell to look around and go, man, I've been here for a while. Am I next? I want Keldon Johnson to ask that question. This whole thing about the Spurs are family is nonsense. They're not family. They're just coworkers, dude. That just is what it is. I want this team to look around and say, hey, do you want to still be here? Because if so, if you want to hang around and play with Wemby, if so, you've got to do something to show that you deserve to be here. I like the direction the Spurs team is going in. Joe, I will even say this, and Wesley, I'm going to ask you this question. I had this team right around a 44-win team a week ago. I think they're now a 46-win team with what they've got roster-wise right now, which is on the cusp of being a top 6 team in the Western Conference. I know there's teams that are better than us, but I have faith that Wemby comes back healthy and gets and has an increase in play, takes a leap. I think Castle can take a leap, and I think people are sleeping on how good of a player Harper is.
Yeah, I think you're on the money there. I'd say between 44 and 48 wins is probably what I was thinking of. You know, when you see, especially when I saw Cornette, and I know that was met with a lot of like, really, but listen, Cornette is like ranked 8th in the NBA in keeping points out of the paint in like percentage of scoring in the paint against him. He and Wemby are both in the top 10 in that category. That immediately improved your defense, and we cannot overstate that because what we saw more often, are they better than a year ago? This is the proof in the pudding. They have a defender. They have multiple defenders now to come off the bench that are not just looking for their shot and looking to jack up shots. You know, that's why Vassell should be looking over his shoulder, because you need guys to come in there that are going to play both ways, that are really going to look to improve, because teams would wait and they would shy away from going to the paint against Wemby. But as soon as he's out of the game, they know the substitution patterns and they would go nuts on the Spurs.
Right.
And I think that's such a big deal of why this team is going to improve. Offensive is sexy, but let's not forget that the 4 teams in the conference finals for this year were all built very balanced defensively and offensively. So again, I really feel like when you look at this team as it's constructed, yeah, they might still add a vet for a minimum or somebody that can help, you know, in a spot when you need them. But I think they have some good pieces around. I do want to ask this question of you guys, and maybe this is backtracking a little bit. Do you think, I agree that I think that Brian did some good things to put this construction together. Let's go the opposite direction. If it fails, let's say they go backwards and everybody's pretty healthy, but it goes backwards. Is he on the hot seat?
Absolutely, Wes. And you know what?
He should be.
Somebody loved your takes right here. We got an incoming super chat here by Midtown Texas. He says, Wesley Perkins better than MJ.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
No.
and we had certain people saying that we should swap last names for the day. So my name is Michael Perkins. That's Wesley Jimenez, joined by Joe Garcia. You know, I'm excited about this upcoming season. I'm looking at the Spurs roster and I think to myself, Michael, just have faith in one of your favorite movies, which is Moneyball.
Hmm.
Moneyball is all Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill. It's all about analytics. And it's not about star power. It's about analytically, what do they do on the field, or in this case, the court. Kelly Olynyk analytically is a good player. Luke Cornette analytically is a good player. Harper analytically in college was a very good player. You add what Champagny brings to the table at a $3 million price point. I call him cardio because sometimes he's just out there getting steps in and not putting up any stats. But at $3 million, it's not a bad play. You look at, maybe we get the best out of Sochan, who's in a contract year. Sochan wants to get paid. Guess what? He has to play better. I'm looking at this team rounding into form, and the Spurs still have 3 roster spots still available. And I like this line that someone said earlier today that David Jones Garcia looks like an 8th grader playing against 6th graders.
Yes.
That's a great line.
Exhibition. It's an
Awesome.
exhibition game. And we
That's
do got
great
one
line.
more super chat we got to get
Yeah,
to
yeah,
here.
yeah,
And
yeah.
this one's from the Drew Show. Appreciate you, Drew. And he says, in the real world, when you get let go or fired, they give you your box and escort you with security. He says, laugh out loud. Spurs make a tribute video. Gone. Drop,
That
please.
is true. That is true.
Hey, can we be honest though? Can we say this? There is one tribute video that's missing hardcore, guys. Do you know what that is?
What is it?
It's the freaking Spurs Silver Dancers. Are you kidding me? We need to have a
Okay.
dang tribute video for those girls. I'm telling you.
Okay, we need to take a step back. Why did the Silver Dance? Ask yourself the question: why are the Silver Dancers not there anymore? It's because the Spurs refuse to pay them.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
It wasn't because of that. It wasn't because of that.
It was because the Spurs had them at $2 an hour, and they're like, "Oh my God, what do you mean? We got to comply with federal law and pay them a wage?" That is why the Silver Dancers are gone. That's why a lot of cheerleaders are gone in other sports and in other franchises all over the country. It's because they took advantage of those girls. The Spurs took advantage of the Silver Dancers, and they're what? Gone.
Gone. Look at
All
this
because
chat.
they did all because they didn't want to pay the minimum wage
Yep.
Look at this one. It's
and
coming
give them
in from-
benefits.
This chat is coming in from Matt Lerma. He goes, y'all realize Pop has a bigger role in the front office, right? Like Pop definitely wanted Harper. No, fool. I'm telling you this right now, Matt Lerma. If you really followed the team and you went to see everything that's happening, R.C. Buford had a very interesting conversation with the French journalist. He went on record to even say he's unsure of how Pop is going to fit in the front office. He doesn't know if he's going to be there in the capacity of a full-time employee, or is he just going to come around every now and then? Basically, that's what he was alluding to. Like, they're going to give him a position, no doubt, but how instrumental is Pop going to be in the everyday ongoings of the team? From what I was reading and hearing about what RC was saying, not very much. He's going to be involved, but not to the extent that you think, So it's like, trying to be condescending, but I'm going to push back on this one because before you come at us, check your facts first. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, you look at Pop, and I hate to say it, but when we last saw Pop,
I mean, come on,
man. You can't say that he commands anything in that building anymore. They have him there as emeritus status. I don't know if you know what emeritus status means, but I worked at a company that had emeritus people, which is basically people who were executives at one point who get to hang around because they have nothing better to do.
Mhm.
They have nothing better to do. You give them an office, you give them a desk, you give them what's called emeritus status, and they can come in whenever they want. They can contribute whatever they want, but they don't have to contribute if they don't want to. It is just like when you feel the need to come into work, come into work. If you believe that Popovich is going to be doing 40 plus hours a week in work with his physical condition, come on, man. That's not the case. You know that.
Drew's saying, where's his gone drop? He wants you to go ahead and say it. So I guess we're going to say it then. Drew is complaining about his super chat. We don't have an actual drop that says gone, but we can make one, though. We got to. I was thinking about it.
Hey,
but he was saying,
I was just going to mention this. I think we have to look at it from the human standpoint for Popovich too here. I don't think it would be healthy to put that kind of impetus on that man at this point. If he were really trying to do the ins and outs of, because it's not as simple as, hey, I sit behind a desk and somebody says, hey, is this a decision you want to make? No. That job to be the head of the organization requires a lot of stuff going on. And right now, his recovery is not in a place where he's going to need to be in putting that kind of stress. Anything that puts you in a stressful position is going to make you unhealthy. I don't think that they would want that. I don't think that Popovich would want that. So to Mike's point, I agree wholeheartedly. I don't think that his stamp's on this at all, but I think it's also from a perspective of it's keeping him healthy. He wants to be involved. He's around
Right.
people. You see him at the facility with Manu and Tim. He's there. He's there providing, uplifting, messages, and being a guy that they all respect. But he's not going to be that guy that's going to, tell Buford and Wright and everybody else, hey, this is how it has to be done, period, get it done. That's not
Yeah,
going to happen.
it's giving him a purpose in life.
Yes.
Is what it's doing. Jason Garcia has a super chat coming in. Says,
Yeah.
"What's the over? The Anderson that the Silver Dancers will be brought back. I would like for them to be brought back, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. It's teams are getting away from that, and it's expensive to keep up with cheerleaders. If you watch the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders thing going on Netflix, right? It's beyond paying the girls to do what they do. It's their hair, it's the makeup, it's the marketing, it's all that stuff. It's not just the salary itself. You can pay the hype squad, right? But you're not paying for their hair. You're not paying for their makeup or their costumes or all that. And if you are paying for their costumes, it's fractions. It's a fraction of what it does to have a cheerleader outfit. There's no choreographer and all that stuff. It's just different. Roberto Ellis has a good comment here. And he's asking the question, why do you all think Sochan is next? All right. So let's talk about how a restricted free agency works. Jeremy Sochan right now is on the books for like $9 million this year, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. He becomes a restricted free agent at the end of this season, which means that if he wants to stay with the Spurs have to go and match whatever is the largest contract he can find on the open market. And the thing about it is this: you don't have to be loved by every team. You just have to be loved by one team. I am predicting that there's going to be somebody enamored with Jeremy Sochan, that they're going to offer him a Godfather deal. They're going to offer him $25 million a year to go play for them. And then the Spurs, if the Spurs want to keep him, have to do what? Match that. And are the Spurs going to want to match that after giving De'Aaron Fox an extension, which he's due for in August? Are they going to want to match that when they know that they have to pay Wemby probably about $70 a year because his contract he's up for an extension soon? When they know that they're going to have to pay Castle, when they know they're going to have to keep up with Harper and maybe Carter Bryant down in the future, when they know all, and if the Spurs want to go out and get a Giannis down the road or be in the Doncic sweepstakes or the Giannis sweepstakes down the road, would it be in their best interest to lock down a Jeremy Sochan at $25 million, $30 million a year if he gets that in the open market? It's not that I say that the Spurs don't want to keep him. I think the Spurs honestly do want him on the roster. But I think there's going to be another team that's going to overpay for him, and it's going to put the Spurs between a rock and a hard place. What do you think, Wesley?
Yeah, I'd say this. This is part of why people have clamored, like, why don't you trade player A, B, C, or D when they're on their rookie contracts? Well, this is why. You have a chance to have them go for a little while, see what they're going to be, find out if they're going to be serviceable, that you need to extend them. At some point, and I've been saying this for a while, every person that you draft, and if the Spurs were to look at trying to draft every pick that they have, it couldn't be possible. They wouldn't be able to have it, because at some point, like we're talking about, all of those rookie deals are going to turn into you need to extend. And at that point, are you going to be in a position where you want to keep or not keep? You might say the same thing. People might ask, well, Devin, why haven't you got rid of Devin? Well, because I think that he's proven to be a little bit more valuable from a scoring standpoint. Sochan at this point, my problem with him, Mike, to be honest with you, is he hasn't been healthy enough to extend at this point. If we're going to, I think could be a guy that could be a glue, Bruce Bowen type, but he's got to show to have better and more stable longevity on the court. If he doesn't, I don't see the Spurs with all of the extensions that they do have to do, because let's be real, they're not gonna let Fox walk, they're not gonna let Castle walk, they're not gonna let Wemby walk if those guys will agree to those extensions, and it makes a player like Sochan, as you said, very expendable. I think somebody said it, and I don't know if it might have been one of you guys, but I had heard this out there, and it is a really good point. Sochan's a guy that you can keep if you have a championship type roster. If you have a roster that's full of guys that are, hooping, and you need that guy. It's very well that you guys have said that, because I've heard that a number of times, and it makes sense. He's a luxury that you can keep if you have a roster full of dudes that are getting you to the 4 seed or the 3 seed or the 2 seed each year. Right now, they're not. And if he's going to eat up minutes and eat up time and not be on the court half the time because of injury, and his shot, while everybody's clamoring, it's so much better, so much better. Let's wait and see until he's in a game if we see that hitch come back, right? Let's wait and see if we see that thing, go 5 feet to the left. All things being equal, I think that Sochan makes the most sense to be, because of his restricted free agent status, to be gone. And for that matter, I just feel like of all the players that they currently do have right now, I don't know that he can provide enough offensively to justify.
And it's his defense, but beyond that, man, I mean, you got to put points up, right, Mike?
You do at some point. And for those who are criticizing, because there are people in the chat, which is powered by PF Chang's, criticizing that my take that Sochan might get a $25 million deal. Cornette got 10, right? Trey Jones got 10. Zach Collins got 18. Vassell got 29. Keldon got 20 million a year. To say that he's going to inch closer to 20, 25, I don't think is out of the realm, especially considering the fact that the NBA salary cap is going to go up next year. So because of that, him getting a Godfather deal, he doesn't have to get a Godfather deal from 3 teams. He's going to get it from 1. And if a team wants him enough, and they need a defensive guy who could potentially be a lockdown guy, their version of a Drew Holiday, their version of somebody who can just lock somebody down defensively, he might get a deal out there that's higher than what we think.
What is the old adage?
The danger.
Yesterday's prices aren't today's prices, right?
Yeah.
Because there's more money to be had, more money going around. You have better TV deals. There's more money being made in that end. So it trickles down to how much said teams can spend on players. And what they're seeing right now is the overspending, so to speak, on said players right now. I mean, we said that going years back. Oh, the new TV deal came out. Teams are going to have more money to spend on players. And we saw them overpay then. And I don't know if it's saying that they're overpaying in a sense. That's just what the market dictates. The value of said player is at this given point in time, And
sometimes that market, like Cornette, according to The Athletic, was supposed to be a $14 million guy. Spurs got him at 10.25. Okay, so the Spurs got him at a discount compared to what his value
below
was.
Market value.
Below market value.
Yeah.
And sometimes that happens. It could be that at the end of this year, based on who is free agent, who hasn't extended and all that stuff, you might look at it and think to yourself, he might be worth only 15 or 14 million. But circumstances can change based on injuries, based on availability, other teams that have signed. Where if there's a team out there that needs to get a power forward, and there's not a lot of power forwards out there, that increases its value. Yeah. We're not going to know until the variables play out, which is probably after the All-Star break weekend next year. Joined by Wesley Perkins. You remember him from Spurs React. Joe Garcia producing today's show. Talk about PF Chang's. PF Chang's is our new sponsor.
Yeah.
This is the PF Chang's location at La Cantera Mall. Our good friend Sean Quintero is a big wig over there. Wants to remind everybody that it is Wines Day over there. So it's half off the wine and champagne over there on Wednesdays. They do happy hours over there in the evening. So if you can go out there and check that out. Was talking about PF Chang's to the Chica yesterday. She's a big fan, Joe. She's a big fan because she likes to eat healthy stuff. And they have certain items out there. Like I love the lettuce wraps over there. Those are, I don't know how they do that. How they get the perfect lettuce. I tried doing that at home. I can't do it.
It falls apart.
I don't know if the HEB lettuce, when you get it all round, is going to work out pretty well, but it's always flat. It's always cold and crisp. I don't know how they do it, Joe, but what's your order over there at PF Chang's?
I don't know, man. I kind of try to get something different every time I go out there, and this last time I went ahead and left it up to Sean to kind of guide me. And he made some good recommendations, but he also brought out these little desserts that they have. And I think that's a good thing that you should try, especially if you're taking a date, you're taking your significant other You're taking the Sancha out, go ahead and bring out. But
Chica
tell them to
likes to
bring out
order
the 3 little cakes. That's what it was.
Mhm.
Yeah, man, that's good stuff. Chica likes the Kung Pao chicken.
Yeah, that one's
That sort
good
of thing.
too. That one's
So
good
again,
too.
it's Wednesday, Wines Day, half off bottles of wine and champagne every Wednesday, all day long. Also, it's happy hour from 3 to 6 p.m. They have that bar area there. They have the outdoor patio area. If you can check that out. We're gonna shoot a commercial over there for PF Chang's and what they're doing.
Yeah.
And we're also gonna have an event there in the next few weeks or so to benefit the flood victims there in the Kerrville and the surrounding areas as they try to rebuild and regroup after the tragedies that happened there
Guess
on
who wants
4th
to
of July
join us?
weekend.
Guess who wants
Who's
to
that?
join us over there? My good friend over here, DJ LG. LG
Nice.
wants to join us. I let him know yesterday. I was talking with LG, and I told him, and he's like, you know what? Let me know when it's going to happen. I'd like to be out there and be part of that. I'm like, I certainly will, man. LG likes
Very nice.
likes to indulge in some little drinks here and there too. So
Oh, dude,
it'd be fun.
I'm missing me some San Antonio, man. I'm usually there, more often than not sometimes. But man, I'm here in Conroe right now because I have my daughter for the summer, and I just don't want her to be going back and forth with me.
Yeah.
But I'm missing some San Antonio. I'll be there at the end of the month, and I'll spend some time over there. Chica and I are still looking for land someplace, man. Well, we're gonna figure it out, baby.
I got
We're
to
gonna
show
figure
you
it
a
out.
video. I got to play a funny video. We'll do it probably on Friday of this one comedian. I believe he's here from San Antonio, and he's talking about people buying land or where you're from, and he's
Yeah.
talking about the people in Helotes, and I thought it was hilarious, dude. So
Nice.
we'll wait for Friday to play that. But we got some super chats here. Want to address this? Jason Garcia again. Jason, thank you so much. We appreciate you. He says, "What's the over and under that the Spurs Silver Dancers will be brought back?" I would like them to be brought back. I think the consensus is most of the fans would like them to be brought back. But the over and under on that, it's not going to happen, dude.
But
They're
that
not
stuff
gonna
gets
do
you in
that.
trouble, dude. Nothing gets you in trouble like cheerleaders in the stands and the kiss cam.
Yeah.
Dude, have you seen people get on the kiss cam and they're
They're
not
like-
supposed to be together?
Yeah, they're all.
I had a friend get busted one time, and I was at that game at the Spurs game. He was with his side piece, and they both came on there, and he was like,
Woo! Hey,
dude, he got
shaking
busted
hands.
hardcore.
Hi, person. How are you? I don't know you. I don't know you. That's when you just get up and go to the bathroom and be like, man, F this, dude. Hey, we got another incoming super chat here. This one's from Sam Salinas. He goes, Dear Jeremy Sohan, go get your effing shine box. He wants him gone.
I know. But you know what? The dude's in the gym right now, so I'll give him props. He realizes, hey, that contract that he wants to get is based on his performance this season. He does realize that. Let's get off the Spurs for a second, man. Chet Holmgren signed an extension with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Oklahoma City building a juggernaut over there. Chet Holmgren going to be staying with that team for a few more years as well. The contract details, let me see here. It's a rookie extension. I forgot the fact that he didn't play the first year. So it's a rookie extension that he gets before Wemby because he basically redshirted his first year with that injury that he had there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I want to get into that story about the beaches, Joe. I sent you that article earlier.
Caca water. Let me go ahead and pull that one. Give me a sec. I got it here.
Yeah,
I'll show it
so
on
the
screen.
San Antonio Current did a fantastic job with this. It was an article written by Sanford Nolan. And this came out yesterday. And the article says that there's so much poop contaminating the Texas coast, the swimming could make you sick. That's the headline. And it goes on to say that last year, 9 out of 10 beaches in Texas were so unsafe for swimming at least one day, not every day, but 9 out of 10 beaches in Texas, at least one day last year, had issues when it comes to fecal matter being too dangerous. We'd often say that the most dangerous beach when it came to fecal matter, in fact, 25% of the days, according to this article by The Current, was unsafe, included Galveston Island State Park, Port Aransas Park, Sea Rim State Park, and also there were issues over in Rockport.
Oh, man, that's one that I used to like to go to, man. Look at that. It says Rockport Beach Park experienced the Fed's most elevated bacteria level of 51%. Woo, bro. I thought Galveston
Kako.
was bad.
And people give me crap because I've been going on vacations to Barbados and Jamaica and the Dominican Republic. It is cheaper, Wesley, to go there than it is to go to Rockport. You know that?
Oh yeah,
It's
I
cheaper to
believe
go
it.
to
I
go to
believe
the
it.
Dominican Republic than it is to get a nice room or a nice condo over at Aransas Pass or Port Aransas rather. Um, this is gross, dude. I went to Padre Island National Seashore a few years ago. And it's because why, Joe? We don't want to hang out with what?
The peasants. Why don't you
peasants.
say it, Mike? Why don't you say it with your chest? I don't know why you're so afraid to say it.
I don't want
You
to be at
call-
JP. I don't want to be at
No.
JP Luby surf
No, bro.
park. I don't
You
want to be
call-
at Ball Hall Pier
You
with the
call San
peasants.
Antonio poor, and I told Mike we're of a certain age where we're doing okay for ourselves. So it's okay if you don't want to go ahead and buy the cheap seats anymore. You want the VIP experience because we don't want to be standing in line for 2 hours. So if you don't want to be sitting with the peasants, it's okay, bro. You don't have to no more.
So we paid the extra $5. Like I was in Key West 2 months ago, and it's like there's a free beach, and then there's a beach that costs $2 per person. That $2 per person beach was so much better than the other beach. Like that $2 priced out people, right?
Oh God.
And so anyway, I went to Potter Island National Seashore, which is typically at least a not so crowded part of the Corpus area. And they had to close down the beach because they found too many needles, like pharmaceutical needles that washed up from Mexico.
You sure that's
Why are
not
you leaving
Corpus
your
Christi
needles,
Beach?
dude?
Pretty damn close to Corpus Christi Beach. So Texas coastline sucks ass. Like there's no point in going over there. Either go to Schlitterbahn, go to a river, go to the Guadalupe, go to Canyon Lake, or save up some money to go to the Dominican Republic, which is super cheap to go out to, right? 2 people can go to the Dominican Republic for $2,500, and that'd be all inclusive and include the flight.
I'm just going to say this because I took the family. I will fully admit I took the stimulus money that we got during COVID, and my family had not been on a vacation ever. We were just like, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to stay away from people. How are we going to do this? So we drove our butts 15 hours from San Antonio, Texas to Destin, Florida. We picnicked out of the back of the car. The one thing we had to do was we had to stay in a Best Western on the first floor, not around a lot of people. Dude, I'm a beach snob. I mean, once you get to the Emerald Coast, you get to white sand beaches, you go to Hawaii, you can't go to Port Aransas, you can't go to Rockport. It's not that I don't want to go out deep sea fishing or whatever. That's fun and all, but I ain't getting in that poop water, man. Are you kidding
Caca
me?
water? No.
No. I'm a beach snob. It's okay to be a beach snob.
By the way, Joe, I was watching the movie. Chica and I were at home wanting to watch something that was lighthearted after watching all the coverage of what happened there in Kerrville and the surrounding areas. She was like, just put on a comedy. Just put on something. I couldn't find anything. So I put on the movie The Secret Life of Pets, the cartoon. And there's an old man, it's Albert Brooks, plays an old dog that has that's in a wheelchair. And they're going through the sewer, right? And the snooty cat goes, "What is that smell?" And it made me laugh so hard. He goes, That is poo poo with a side of caca." I was like, poo poo with a dash of caca. I don't know why that made me laugh so hard.
Rockport Beach, brother.
Yeah, so
slogan.
Good reporting there by the current, a literal current of poo poo going up and down the Texas coast. If you are going to the Texas beaches, you should be ashamed of yourself. Go to a lake instead. Go to the river, or go to Schlitterbahn or Fiesta, Texas, and go there instead. Joe, do you have the videos that I sent you, the TikToks that I sent you?
Yeah, I do. But I'm gonna play this real quick though. Drew Show sent us another incoming super chat. So he says, Mike can never say I'm with you, Sochan, to at Matt Lerma. He goes, after that $25 million a year take, he goes, you're with Sochan now.
Dude, I'm not saying he's worth $25 million. All I'm saying is that somebody might offer him that with a new amount of money available during the salary cap. So you know what? I'm gonna look it up real fast. I'm gonna look this up real quick. 2026 NBA free agents, right? and I'm going to look up the best power forwards that are available in 2026 because he's going to be a restricted free agent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is according to let's see here. This is according to the Sporting News. God, they're still around.
Jeez, that's old.
Top 20 free agents of 2026. Paulo Banchero, no, he just resigned. So this is a 4-day-old article. Bradley Beal, Michael Bridges, Dyson Daniels, Luka Doncic, Kevin Durant, De'Aaron Fox, Draymond Green, James Harden, Chet Holmgren. This is kind of this is what's proving the point. This is proving the point that these players leave before the time is up. But when you're off of a rookie deal, especially if you're a restricted free agent, you have to test those waters. Why would he not want to test those waters? Why would he want to give a hometown discount to the Spurs?
No, let's be honest too. That I think part of we were talking about the money side of it, and why 25. It all depends on who else is coming out. If you have big name stars coming out that are going to command big dollars, that means that restricted free agents like a Sochan or somebody is going to get maybe some less. But in a year like this year, right? I mean, Durant comes out, he's not going to command the same dollars that you're going to get, that he would have in his prime. It's the same kind of thing, right? Every year is different. You get a big free agent market, your restricted free agents aren't going to. It's going to trickle down. But in this case, I don't know. 25 mil is in today's NBA is not that much, honestly.
Yeah, I did get the videos ready, by the way, Mike.
Okay, so I'm looking at, let's see, that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There are 18 players that are considered to be better as of right now at the power forward position that are free agents at the end of next year. LeBron James, Porzingis, Tobias Harris, John Collins, Draymond Green, Harrison Barnes, Rui Hachimura, Kelly Olynyk, Maxi Kleber, Jeff Green, Jarris Walker, to name a few, right? But the fact of the matter is that they all have something in common. All these guys are all in their 30s. Jeremy Sochan is 23. There might be a team out there that wants to lock the dude down, dude. That's all I'm saying. Is that there might be a team that wants to lock down Sochan for a longer-term deal. Maybe it's not 25 million. Maybe it's 20 million. My opinion is if Keldon got 18 million 4 years ago, what's to say that Sochan can't get 20? You mentioned this earlier, Joe. There are some teams that believe that Sochan is a luxury player who is needed by a good team. What if a good team comes knocking on the door, has the heart emoji for him?
You know where Sochan will look good in? You know what uniform he'll look good in? Not a Spurs uniform. But I hear there's some discontent from the Joker over in Denver. Nikola Jokic, he's not re-upping with them. He wants to go ahead and kind of talk about things in the 2026 year, not this year.
He's also waiting for a new salary cap to happen as well.
So he ain't no dummy. But the thing with the Joker, though, San Antonio Spurs fan has said they want Giannis. Why wouldn't you want Nikola Jokic on this team? You know, could that realistically happen? If he's, let's say, saying his discontent or expressing his discontent with the Denver Nuggets, if they go into, another losing season where they're not going far into the playoffs, I mean, he's an NBA champion, and he's looking at what San Antonio is constructing over here, and if they continue to put together a quality team and can surround Wemby and the supporting cast with shooters, and be like, I think he can really, maybe he decides, you know what, maybe I can really make a go with this San Antonio Spurs team. What if he wants to go ahead and come and play over here? Spurs kind of have the perfect storm happen where you have players coming off of contracts, you have cap space, you're in this year right now, maybe you can make a deal. Maybe you could make a trade, that could be a possibility as well. I'm just saying that in the grand scheme of things, I think the Spurs are setting themselves up to do something just in that nature, to be able to go ahead and go after a bigger name than just, a Giannis or somebody else. They're setting themselves up for something bigger, I think.
Somebody who fits what they need.
Now Sochan is playing on a $5.7 million contract this year. If the Spurs could re-sign him for 10 to 15, I'd be good with.
Yeah. And look at
Anything
this.
north of that, not so really.
Tony
Not so-
Ornelas. No, it can't realistically happen. What are y'all talking about? 18 other players. He goes, 32 teams. I'm like, what are you all talking about? It's like you can always make a trade. You can always do something.
Mhm.
Just because you're going in with your roster for the season doesn't mean that roster is going to stay intact. There is something called trades that happen in the context of the NBA regular season.
Yeah. Let's do some pop culture. Joe, how you don't like to karaoke, right? I mean, you like to
it's
go
all
to
right.
karaoke.
I'll go.
Wesley, do you karaoke?
I try not to do it in front of people, but I might or might not have karaoke in my car, and I might or
Okay.
might not use that from time to time.
So I like to go karaoke. You know, sometimes I do okay. Sometimes I wet the bed. It happens. But I have karaokeed at bars. I've karaokeed at a nightclub before. But I don't think I've ever karaokeed on a cruise ship before. But this kid named Tyler went viral a few weeks ago, and I've been following his story ever since. Right, the guy has been a feel-good story. More than 2 million likes on a particular video of him going up there and karaokeing, right, at a Carnival cruise. And for those of you who don't know, Carnival Cruise has the reputation of being a cruise line that has a high percentage of African Americans on there, right? I've enjoyed my Carnival Cruise experiences when I've been on there before. Carnival Cruise has karaoke there. You have this young kid named Tyler, young white guy, going up in a room of predominantly African American people, right? And he chooses a song that is a classic R&B song from the early 90s by Keith Sweat. Let's play it and get the reaction of the woman in blue. Joe, if we could put this up.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and make it a go here.
I wanna tease you. I wanna show you, baby, that I need you. I want your body till the very last drop. Oh, I want you to holler.
Here comes the chorus.
You want me to stop? And who can love you like me? Nobody. Who can sex you like me? Nobody. Who can treat you like me, my baby?
All right, Joe.
Nobody.
They're like, cut the mic, bro.
No, they let him go. He did 2 songs, Joe. He did a song by
Man.
Usher afterwards.
No,
This
bro.
guy is getting so much love on social media because they were saying he's invited to the cookout. They're
De
saying
carne
that
asada.
they're saying that he got some brown sugar loving that night. Wesley, what do you think about this young white man in socks and slides, no, mind you, going up there and singing a Keith Sweat classic?
Listen, if you can do it and you can pull it off and the crowd loves you, man, that's all I'm saying. You know, as a guy who teaches performers every single day, you know, in the instrumental music world, all I got to say is, you know, that crowd, they're having a good time. You know, her reaction to that song, you know, the blue dress was pretty epic, you know, and I'm just going to say, like, hey, listen, dude, it takes some cojones to get up there on that stage and sing and pick a song that everybody's going to be, you know, pretty sure that, hey, you're not going to probably be able to do this and you're not going to be able to do it justice. And hey, all right, man, you got to give him a lot of props. That's all I'm
He
going to
hit
say.
he hit the first note. And
Yep.
that latest reaction of just getting up and going, oh my God. Now this went viral about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Ever since then, Carnival Cruise has reached out to him and said, hey, you know, we're the cruise line that had Tyler on, right? So they're showing him some love. CeeLo Green of Gnarls Barkley fame going out there and going on TikTok and reviewing his performance, saying that he did a good job. The reason why I'm bringing this up, because this went viral 3 weeks ago, right? So it's funny because it goes viral on TikTok first. then it goes to Instagram, and then it goes to Facebook, right? So now it's all over Facebook right now, but it was on TikTok 3 or 4 weeks ago. But what's new about it, because Tony Ornalis is talking about this on our thread, which is powered by PF Chang, saying, hey, wasn't this a few weeks ago? Yes, but here's the new part, which is the second clip that we have to show you. This is the update. This is young Tyler going in and actually being introduced to Keith Sweat.
All right, here we go, man. Let's check this one out. Let me go ahead and pause it and get the audio ready.
Oh Lord, oh shit. What's up, Mr. Sweat?
Mr.
Sweat. Congratulations. You done made too much noise for me. You done made more noise than I can make. Hey, I knew exactly what it was when I walked in the room. I was nervous. I wasn't getting recognized, so I had to get that sound out. I seen it just like everybody else. How you doing? You was dad? Yeah, how you doing, brother? No, I'm just friend. Yeah, take a video for me.
I'm sister.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Very nice meeting you. Thank you so much. Well, you know, we're just doing in Atlanta.
Yeah, we're from North Georgia. We're like 2 hours.
Oh, you're from Georgia? Yeah. Oh, okay.
They go on, they get to meet Keith Sweat.
Yeah.
And Keith Sweat does some TikToks with him. And Keith Sweat thanks him. Basically says, hey, we've gotten, there's been a lot more listens on Spotify. They get paid according to listens, right? There was a bump up in the number of people who were listening to Keith Sweat music because of this kid. He goes off, and one of the producers says, at the end of the clip goes, dude, we saw that clip like 300 times. And there's like different angles of it all, and CeeLo Green doing his thing about it all. Props to Tyler, man. We live in a very divided world these days, but Tyler helped heal race relations by singing a 90s classic, dude. I loved it, dude. I love the whole story.
Look at JHNSB getting Hawk Tua vibes.
Getting Hawk Tua. Well, you know what? Hawk Tua had her moment in the sun, right? And then she went off and started doing that Hawk coin or whatever that was, and that went to crap, and it was a scam and all that stuff. But yeah, it's so funny that Hawk Tua did her thing, and that went viral, and it became a thing. But that was kind of being a cochina. Whereas this guy was it wholesome? Because that's a pretty sexy song. How old do you think that guy is, man? Because he had to at least be 21, right? We're hoping.
Hopefully. It looked like he was. He's probably like maybe 22, 23 years old, something like that,
Somebody said he looked like the skinny dude from Road Trip right there. But I think, too, it's free advertising for Sweat himself because, you look at, it's bringing the song back. It's bringing the flavor back a little bit too, right? It's cool that an artist, kind of gets to have some of his stuff, come back through again and be enjoyed, in a different way. Even just recognizing and saying, hey, thanks for bringing my stuff and having a chance to perform it. I think it's really cool, actually.
Well, we saw that Stranger Things, for example, that TV show on Netflix, introduced people to bands like Metallica. I remember seeing my nephew singing these rock songs. I'm like, how do you know these rock songs? Because he was doing Guitar Hero. And he recognizes these songs from video games, from TV shows. I know that show on Netflix, Wednesday, brought back some songs from back in the day as well. It's pretty cool whenever kids get nostalgic on our music and it becomes their music too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some people that were contributing here to the media share, right? So I'm going to share some of their videos as we start bringing the show to a close here because I'm being mindful of the time here. So I believe this one was coming from Black Bucket here. And he was saying that this is what Kelly Olynyk's bringing to the San Antonio Spurs. And you can remember this play, the dirty play on Kevin Love where he dislocated his shoulder.
I want to see some nasty.
Yeah, you want to see some nasty. There you go. You remember. And then we had another one coming in. And this one is stating, this is Pop's role on the team now, Joe. The old man upstairs. So this is a little segment here from the movie Scrooge with the great Bill Murray here. So we'll go ahead and play this for everybody.
Frank, killer.
Yes, Preston?
Have you any idea how many cats there are in this country?
No. I don't have those. No.
27 million. Do you know how many dogs?
In America.
48 million.
Wow.
We spend $4 billion on pet food alone.
4.
Now, I have here a
That's his role. That's his role.
Just bring up strange facts.
Strange facts. That's gonna be his role. That's hilarious, man. And we had one more clip that I'm going to show here. Let me go ahead and get this one going. So this one's pretty funny. I'll show this one. This one came in and it says that guy was singing Keith Sweat, and he's they shared this with us here. So let me go ahead and put this video up, and y'all can see this. There you go.
Oh, road trip, Kyle.
There's a white guy.
Oh my God, man.
Remember Road Trip? What did you do?
Yeah.
You kill a cheetah?
Great movie. Dude, movies that could never be done are Road Trip and Euro Trip.
Oh yeah.
Euro Trip was a great movie. I mean, American Pie could never be done again as well. There's certain movies that just,
Oh, bro.
and you know what's so funny? We all think that those are bad movies, but you go back in time, man. Porky's was just a ridiculous movie.
Oh,
You know, what were those other movies out there that were really bad back in the 80s that could never be done? Police Academy is another one that couldn't be done again.
Naked Gun, you can't do that one anymore. Airplane, you know, these were very like
Airplane's the best movie of all time, by the way.
Barbara
Fun.
Billingsley coming out and doing the stewardess. I speak jive. Oh my God, dude! There's a movie theater here in the Woodlands that has Blazing Saddles being played this week.
Oh, that could never be
That's
done. Holy
another
cow!
one.
and they're showing it on the big screen.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Isn't it sad that, like, you know, and I'm not making fun, you know, because the last time I said something that I was kind of mocking something that the Pope does. Lightning struck a pole like 5 feet in front of me. That's not a lie. That's true. But it's funny, Euro Trip, watching the Pope scene. I couldn't help but think, like, as conclave was going on and stuff, like, and you see the end of Euro Trip, and it's like, hey, they've elected a new Pope, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I knew what was going to happen from Euro Trip, like,
yeah,
like,
the white smoke and everything
Yeah.
is what's in it. They've
Yeah, I'm
elected
like-
a new Pope.
I'm like,
Oh.
okay, that's kind of sad. Maybe I shouldn't think of it that way.
Oh God, 16 Candles with Long Duck Dong. You can't do that no more, bro.
No, man, 16 Candles can't happen because 16 Candles happened with a blonde girl getting raped by Anthony Michael Hall.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I showed 16 Candles to my daughter. My daughter goes, "So he raped her?"
Oh,
And it's weird because,
God.
like, it's kind of like Wesley may not know how Chica ruins movies for me. My
man.
girlfriend ruins movies. Have we told you how she ruined
Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket?
No.
Have you seen Full Metal Jacket?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Lawrence, you know, Private Pile, the one that always gets in trouble, has to suck his thumb while eating a donut, you know, all that stuff, right? She looks at me and goes, "I can't believe they did that to a special needs guy."
Oh,
I had never considered Pyle to be special needs. And he goes, "Isn't it obvious? Was Pyle special
Wow.
needs? And does that change your perception of the movie?"
getting beat by the soap with the soap and the pillowcases and everything, man.
I can't
Yeah,
believe they beat
that's-
this special
wow.
needs young man.
Wow.
Yeah.
It puts a different perspective. Hey, but I'm going to put another one out there. You know, the movie, it's been a long time, but the Tom Hanks movie, Big, right?
Yeah.
You know, the
Oh,
idea
yeah.
that you get to be an adult and you go and have a relationship with this girl, and then he goes back, and then at the end of the movie, she's looking at him all longingly. I'm like, should we be all a little creeped out about the
I know. He hooked up with
pedophile?
Elizabeth Perkins.
Yeah.
The same could be said about 13 Going on 30 with Jennifer Garner's character. You know, she falls in love with Mark Ruffalo, I believe, and
Mhm.
she's 13, but she's now in a woman's body. That's crazy. PTS TV says, "My wife ruined Rocky 1. Rocky kept her hostage and blocked the doorway. He was so rapey." Wow, there's certain scenes that kind of get there. By the way, I don't know if we mentioned this, but last week was the 40-year anniversary of the movie Back to the Future.
Wow.
That movie's 40 years old, dude.
Wow.
How old do you feel knowing that movie turned 40?
I feel a little old because I remember seeing those movies in the theaters, especially part one, Back to the Future. I saw that in the theater over the summer, over at Century South with one of my cousins. Me and my cousin went and we checked it out. We actually walked to the theater from where my grandma's house is because she's right on Commercial, and it's not that far really when you think about it. We just kind of walked like 10, 15 minutes and we're there in the theater and we watched it. So I watched that. Part two, I also watched it there at Century South. And then part three, I actually watched it at the Mission Drive-In with my family. They took us there to go and see it. Yeah.
Yeah, what was the movie theater that was at Westlake, the Westlake Landing right there?
Yeah.
For a while that was kind of like, because I grew up in Hondo up the road, and so we would make it out to Ingram Park a whole bunch, and Westlake was kind of our movie theater. But I was 8 when we watched that in the theater. That just, I don't know, 48 years old is still really young. I'm in my prime, but yeah, no, it does make me feel really stinking old to see that's 40 years old. Holy cow.
Mexican Junior comes out. He's back from the World Series of Poker, by the way. Says Fast Times at Ridgemont High would be tough because of the underage sex and abortion. LOL.
Yeah.
The one that's weird is that what's the one with I Had the Time of My Life? Dirty Dancing.
No.
Yeah, like I remember there was a Family Guy skit about Dirty Dancing by saying, nobody puts baby in a corner. And the father looking at him going, she's 16, you're 31.
Right.
Jeez.
That's crazy, dude. These
Bunch
movies
of
are
craziness. Hey, we do have something we got to share here too.
Yeah.
I wanted to show this real quick because it involves you, Mike. So we're gonna go ahead and show this here. This is our good friend Elias here, and he's gonna be having Mike on. They're gonna go on July 15th here at 7:30 p.m. He's gonna be on the next guest up there on Plead the Sith, so you can go ahead and check that out. It's gonna be streaming on the Sweep the League TV, and also what we're going to do is give our good friend Elias here some love, as he also has a new profile that you can check out. This is called Plead the Sith. So you can go ahead and give him a follow. If you all are still watching us here, go ahead and give our good friend Elias here a follow at Plead the Sith. As you can see, there's his handle at Plead the Sith _. Give him a follow. Good guy, making good content out there.
very nice. If you can show my number as well, man, 210-508-0369, 210-508-0369. If you have questions about financial planning, financial type of products, whether they be investments, insurances, long-term care. Today, I'm working on a client who needs to set aside money for a estate plan. Long story short, they make a lot of money. They're worth a lot of money. And they need to have an estate plan put together to pay those taxes in the future when they pass away so that their kids can keep the business and whatnot. I do everything that's from basic to complex like that. My number is 210-508-0369, 210-508-0369. If you have an old 401k, an old IRA, you want someone to manage it, give me a call. If you have questions about auto insurance, homeowners insurance, long-term care, disability, life insurance, I've done a lot of life insurance the past couple of months. Give me a call, 210-508-0369. Sam Salinas reaches out with a super chat.
Yeah, we got to put this one in here before we leave. There you go.
Says
Sam.
from last week, Forrest Gump, Jenny is an awful person. One more, would she have reached out if she didn't have AIDS? Pluto move, worst villain ever. Joe, we talked about this last week. She did not have AIDS.
What did she have? Hepatitis?
She had hepatitis. That is what the book says. Everyone watches that movie and says she had AIDS, but she had hepatitis according to the book. Wesley, I'm reading the book, The Shawshank Redemption, the Stephen King novel. The movie's great, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever read the book?
I haven't read that one in particular, but I've read most of Stephen King's books. I'm a huge, huge fan. I've read a lot of them over the years, but I've never actually read Shawshank.
I got into the book. Makes you think twice about some of these characters, my man. Makes you think twice. First of all, what's kind of funny is that like they mentioned that Andy Dufresne is short, but in the movie he's like 6'5", right? You know,
Right.
the
Jeez.
homeboy is huge, right? And then you find out what Red did to be in jail. Killed 3 people. Should he have gotten out?
Nah.
So what he did was in the book, they say this in the first few pages of the book, he cut the brake lines to his wife's car because he didn't have the balls to divorce her. He
God.
didn't want to be
Wow.
shunned. And she picked up a neighbor and her neighbor's kid, and they went down the street and they lost control of the car and they died. So he
Wow.
went to murder for three, and that's never talked about in the movie. So now it's like, okay, we now know why Andy Dufresne's there. It goes off into saying that Andy Dufresne's trial was actually like the trial of the century in that it was so publicly consumed that people would line up for miles to try to get tickets to go watch it because it was like the crime of the century. It was like the O.J. Simpson murder,
Wow.
murder trial, whatnot. So it's kind of a weird thing to be watching this. I haven't given away the whole book. That's literally the first 3 pages of the movie of the book itself.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny, man.
Yeah.
Mexican Cheater asking, could the movie Colors be made now?
No, I don't
What about the
think so, man.
songs? What about the song? Can certain songs be made now?
No,
We joked
absolutely
about
not.
2 Live Crew the other day, right? And the cochino-ness that was 2 Live Crew in the late 80s, early 90s. Or how about
Ooh.
Ice-T coming out with Cop Killer back in the day?
Nah, bro,
Can
they
that
couldn't
be
be
done?
doing that. No, they couldn't do that no more. They'd actually ban that from the airwaves. You know that. It would be a viral sensation nowadays if it was made in today's time. It would be a viral sensation on social media, but even then, they would probably go ahead and start blocking the video, you know? Hey, but we do have something that we're going to talk about probably tomorrow. We couldn't get to it because we had a lot of other discussions. But Angel Reese, she was named to the cover of the WNBA edition of NBA 2K26. She beat out Caitlin Clark. So we got to talk about that tomorrow, Mike.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark is back on the court today. She has missed 9 out of 18 games. So she's missed half the season so far because of various injuries, primarily being her quad. She is playing like absolute trash this year. And we need to ask ourselves the question, is it because of the quad injury or what? She was named the captain because she got the most number of votes for the WNBA All-Star team. She's the most popular player in all of the WNBA. They thought that she was being criticized or unfairly treated because the players ranked her as the 9th best guard in the WNBA. She leads the league in turnovers per game. She led she has the most turnovers in a single season last year in WNBA history. She broke that record so much that she beat it by twice. Like she doubled the old mark. She's a turnover machine. She has no handles. She's shooting 29% from 3 and shot only 34% last year. 33% for her career. People call me a hater. I'm just saying she's overrated, dude. She's completely overrated.
Jeez.
She is James Harden. She's Russell Westbrook. She ain't Michael Jordan. Wesley, what says you, man, about Caitlin Clark? What are your impressions on her so far?
I don't disagree that the turnovers are pretty crazy. And it's kind of and I think a lot of people will say, well, how dare you disrespect her for blah blah blah. But look, you watch a few of those games, and I do. I watch a good amount of games on TV, and those are possessions. I mean, let's put it in Spurs terms. If there were a Spurs player committing those turnovers on a given basis, we would crucify our own players for doing that, right? I do think she's kind of an enigma in some ways. She does some things that we in the women's game in a while. Her step back that looks very similar to what Steph does and those kinds of things. But again, yeah, you're right. I mean, you can't crown somebody until they crown themselves, right? And at this point, she's hype until there's a title to be said. That I will fully admit that certainly the fever got a lot better once she got there and arrived, but. Yeah, for me personally, I don't know. I think the jury's still out. Personally, I don't know that it's not so much that she gets beat up every night too. That makes it a little bit more challenging to get into spots. She's being focused on a lot.
Nope. I think we lost
It
Perk.
is.
There he is.
Yeah, it is what it is. I think she is who she is at this point.
Look at that. You got a fan here. Tony Ornelas says Wesley Perkins is a fun guy. Bring him back tomorrow.
Bring it.
Oh, thanks, dude.
Bring
I'm
it.
just honored. Listen, I'm just honored that you guys brought me on today, and I appreciate y'all very
Yeah,
much.
it was
again, so, yeah.
good to have you back because it's been a long time since me and Wesley have been on air together or on the screen together here. Like I said, back in the day, we used to do Spurs React with the great Chris Duell at the WOAI, Ticket 760 studios over there. It was over there by off of 1604, the I-10
Yeah.
area by
Yeah.
Stone Oak, so it's good to kind of be reunited in a way. We're still missing one person. Maybe we can have a reunion here of a sorts. We'll bring Carolina Teague on and we'll have me, you,
CT.
and Wesley on at the same time. It'd be almost like a reunion,
Right. Absolutely. I think that's
Joe?
a great union.
Joe, do you care about Wimbledon? Because I have an update. Novak Djokovic just lost the first set to Flavio Cobolini. So Djokovic going for his 25th singles title in a Grand Slam title, which would be an all-time record. He already has the record, but he would add to it with number 25. He is in the quarterfinals against a 22nd ranked player from Italy. Lost the first set 7-6. Tiebreaker went 8-6. He's down 2-1 in the second set.
Yeah.
And American Ben Shelton is losing to Yannick Sinner. Sinner's the number 1 seed on the men's side. Sinner won the first set 7-6, and right now it's 4-4 in the third. Shelton down 2 sets to none on that one, so that's still going on right now. Chet Holmgren, going to be a rich man, sign an extension. Any news from Shams Charania today, Joe?
Not much. I'm not seeing anything that's really breaking that we'll talk about, but we'll see what happens between here and tomorrow. Maybe
Are you
tomorrow.
surprised? Are you surprised that Chet Holmgren's deal though? He
Not
signed
really.
He signed a max deal, 5
Not
years,
really.
$250 million. Chet
Oh.
Holmgren's making $50 million a year. Really?
OKC thinks that he's an instrumental piece to what they're going to be doing moving forward. You got to pay your player if you want him to stay with the team long term. So hopefully,
$50 million, Joe.
doing this,
$50 million.
the hope is what they're going to go ahead and repeat next year as champs. Because if not, it's a failed experiment.
I just think Chet ain't worth Chet. That's what I'm saying.
All right. With that, we're going to go ahead and call it a show. I got to get ready to go to work, and so does Mike. But thank you so much, Wesley, for being a guest on our show. We appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Wesley, thanks for being on. And don't forget, it is Wines Day Wednesday over at P.F. Chang's La Cantera. Half off bottles of wine, half off champagne all day today. Again, they have their lunch specials going on at lunchtime. Happy hours from 3 to 6. Go get one of those Asian old fashions. I think they're called Japanese old fashions, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Go get one of those. Trust me, badass. Everyone have a fantastic day. Hit the like button on the way out. Give me a call or reach out to me if you have any financial questions. 210-508-0369. We'll be back tomorrow. Go Spurs, go. Spurs in 5.